very excited here because easy now, my final guest tonight is quite simply a god of comedy who, in a glittering career spanning 5 decades, has landed 7 BAFTA Awards, 7 British Comedy Awards, 2 Academy Award nominations, and most importantly of all, 1 Irish passport. He is also the man who is single-handedly responsible for no child being given the name Alan for the last 30 years. He is currently treading the boards at the Bord Gáis in the critically acclaimed Dr. Strangelove. Would you please welcome Steve Coogan? And scene. There we go. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Dublin. You're an Irish passport holder now, Steve. Are we allowed to say welcome home?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. How does that feel?
It feels good. I mean, I've said this before, probably on this show, probably. Yeah, I mean, I spent all my summers growing up in the West, and you know, I'm a regular visitor here, and you know, it's part of I'm part of the diaspora, so you know, it's part of my DNA. People are sort of born in England, but they come from Ireland originally. I always feel like we live right in the middle of the Irish Sea.
You are a busy man at the moment with Dr. Strangelove at the Bord Gáis. Limited run only. How's that been going for you?
Good, good. I've had some throat problems, so I've had to skip a couple of nights to make sure I can make it to the end, because I've done 130 shows plus so far in London, which is when you're doing 4 characters a night, you're running on and off, and you're making these fast changes in the wings like a Formula One pit stop. But I'm enjoying it, and I want to make sure I get enough shows for people to see here. So, but yeah, I mean, it's great. I'll be ready when it's over. But I was really, but I was really keen to come to Dublin.
And that's how you sell a show, Steve. I can't wait for this to be over. Come and see me.
But the show is really good. I'm really proud of the show. It's funny, it's entertaining, it's thought-provoking, and I wanted to come to Ireland just so half my family could come and see it without having to get on the ferry.
And what do you think it is about a play that's about megalomaniacs and politicians kind of putting the world in peril, that so people feel they might want to see at the moment?
Well, I mean, you know, it's a stage version of the original film that was made by Stanley Kubrick back in 1960 with Peter Sellers playing 3 roles. I play 4, so 1 more than him. Yeah, I'm not saying that I win. Of course not.
But in your face, Sellers.
But it's about, you know, I mean, the film is about nuclear Armageddon. And the book is a very serious book, but when Stanley Kubrick made the movie, he wanted to, you know, he realized it was so bleak, the idea of us all being killed in a nuclear catastrophe, that that the best thing to do was to somehow be able to laugh at it. And that's what the film did in the end. He developed 2 films, a serious script and a comedy script. In the end, he went, let's do the comedy version. People need a laugh if they're thinking about the end of humanity, you know. So that's what we do on stage. You know, it's a funny way of looking at a serious thing, and comedy, you know, is as you know, on occasion when you use it. You know, it's a good way to make people to talk about serious stuff without people feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, you have done dozens and dozens and dozens of characters over the years. You know, the good news for us is that you come back to one character in particular. What is it, do you think, that has made Alan Partridge endure?
It's funny, because I did start out doing a few, and then I thought, well, I want to do serious stuff, and I want to do acting and drama and blah, 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 and write things, which I started to do, and more serious stuff, and try and balance the comedy with the drama. But funnily enough, probably about 15 years ago, I felt like I was a little bit saddled with Alan Partridge, but then when I went on to do other things, I felt like I needed to go back to him because I found it funny. And and I wanted to entertain people, and also it was once you've done serious stuff, especially if you deal with any kind of heavy topic, going back and doing Alan Partridge is like taking a warm bath. You know, it's fun. You can make fun of things. Also, because the character is essentially a fool, you know, you can, well-meaning but definitely a fool. You can talk about topics that even today, probably more now so than ever. You can talk about topics and difficult subject matter that can get you or I into hot water.
And he's coming back with a new series about mental health.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. You have to. Well, yeah. I think when you, if you, the barometer test for us is if you say it's about mental health, people go, "Oh, I feel a bit uncomfortable." Then I know I'm doing the right thing, because it's you know, it's him jumping on what he would see as the mental health bandwagon, you know, and claiming to have lots of conditions to evoke sympathy. Yeah, it's just a way of you know, putting his foot in it, but also, strangely, a way of actually talking about it. For the funny thing about Alan is you can make fun of certain issues, but then you can also actually elevate them at the same time. So it's sort of, and that's walking a very tricky line. But you know, it's always walking a tightrope when you do Partridge, like about whether you're going to fall off and get cancelled. But the good thing about Alan is he can get cancelled, and maybe I won't.
Hold that thought. We all want to know, we're in Ireland tonight, we want to know, is Martin Brennan maybe going to be making an appearance again in this season?
Do you know what? I have to... When I did that character, I did it in my live show, and I took my live show to Dublin and Belfast, and my mother was absolutely terrified. She said, you won't ever be able to show our face in Ireland again if you do that character.
Can I just say you will, and we're going to show it right now and show what we think of it here. Have a look at this.
I love you as I loved you when you were sweet, when you were sweet, 16. Come out, you black and tan, come and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of Killashandra. Armoured cars and tanks and guns came to take away our sons, but every man should stand behind the men behind the wire. Come on, Simon!
I don't know what I love more about that, the fact that you actually did that and we were watching this in Dublin, or the fact that the audience were happily clapping along with Get Out, You Black and Tans as they were watching it. I mean, yeah. just comedy gold.
Yeah, there's certain things you have to make a certain judgment. You have to sort of like play with fire sometimes to get the right kind of laugh. And with Martin Brennan, this character, I felt like I'm familiar enough with the Irish not to do those awful cliches that really irritate the Irish. And because I grew up with lots of people like Martin Brennan.
well, we're getting on to this. I mean, there has to be someone that you've based him on.
No, I had lots of uncles like that. I mean, in the West, like for 40, 50 years. He's kind of
and here they are, Steve. Please welcome.
They're all sadly moved on to the other world now. But yeah, so it was important. Also, it was important that when I did it, that he gets the better of Alan, because Alan's the kind of person who is the English guy who has a cliched view of lots of things, including Ireland. And Martin is the person who appears to be, plays the fool, but actually ends up fleecing him. And so that was important to me that he got the best of him. But as I say, when I did it, my mother said, "Can you please don't make him from Mayo?" So I made him from Sligo.
You're playing another Englishman who's an Irishman in an upcoming movie about Saipan. What can you tell us about this? Mick McCarthy?
I play Mick McCarthy in the movie coming up with the very talented Éanna Hardwick playing Roy Keane. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it, but I'll talk. Oh, there I am. Okay, so a very steamy scene between me and Éanna there. But
I was trying to work out, is that in the movie or is that how you got the gig?
good, you still got it. Well, it's funny enough. It's about that kind of that tension that between the sort of the. It's partly about Irish identity, actually, and how Ireland sees itself on the international map. And at that time, it was that was a period of change, I suppose, in Ireland, where, if you like, the old guard of Irish identity sort of almost being wrested by a new generation to own their own history and on their own terms, I suppose. But really, it's just about a football manager having an argument with a player. I'm trying to make it sound like...
I love the fact that Mick said that he would have preferred... He was happy that you were playing him, but he said, I was really hoping for Brad Pitt, George Clooney or Denzel Washington.
That's very, very inclusive of him.
Yes. Did you speak to Mick before you shot this?
I did, yeah. I had a chat with him, and I wanted to make sure that if I was going to take part in it, that it was a balanced depiction of that sort of fallout.
Well, look, I mean, you're in Ireland, you're talking about balance. I mean, clearly we don't care about balance. We want to know whether you're on Team Mick or Team Roy after making this film.
I think it's very hard to say. Probably because I'm playing Mick, I'm 51% on Team Mick and 49% on Team Roy. My mother would never hear a word said against Roy Keane, however badly behaved he was on the field. Because I think there is something visceral about him, and that really and it hasn't something to do with national identity. Something very, very authentic about him, and Mick. I think it's different worldviews. Mick wanted everyone to have a good experience. Roy wanted to win, and there's arguments for both those things. Winning is striving to win, of course, is important. But it's not everything, being nice to people is also quite important.
Says the man who's doing 4 parts instead of Peter Sellers 3. There we go. Did I see somewhere you're going to be doing The Trip again with Rob Brydon? Is that right?
Yeah.
Have you guys... Have you settled the argument about who's funnier, I'm assuming, or is that a...
I'll let Rob have that, because it's all he's got.
We've been talking comedy for most of the night. I mean, you've done so many serious roles as well. One that means a lot to a lot of people here in Ireland is Philomena. What did that movie mean for you?
Well, to me, it was sort of, funny enough, it was a story I found in a newspaper about Philomena and Martin Sixsmith. And to me, it was something I've always been fascinated by. I was raised Catholic. I'm not Catholic anymore, but there are things about my upbringing that I'm very grateful for, that was rooted in Catholicism. But I also have a lot of sort of problems with it. So it's a sort of this sort of push-pull. I won't reject it wholesale. And some things about the church as an institution that made me angry. But I didn't want people of, if you like, people of quiet faith to be denigrated. And this struck me when I was researching it and came over here with Jeff, my co-writer, that Philomena herself, who's someone who still has faith, I thought, well, if there's anything that dignifies the church, it's people like her rather than the institution. And so, for me, it was an important film, and it was a way of... It was sort of an open letter about my thoughts about religion as well, because I mean, although I played Martin Sixsmith, a lot of that character is me, And I spoke to Martin and said, "Do you mind if I put a lot of my baggage in that character?" And he said, "Go ahead."
And all the better for it.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was amazing. Look, sitting down, chatting with you, spending a bit of time, it's always good for the soul. Thanks for coming to see us. Best of luck with the play. Mr. Steve Coogan.